I remember the first time I heard the word Sasquatch, it was in the fall of 1998, when my grandfather pointed toward a line of fir trees and whispered, "That's where they say the giant walks." At the time, I thought he was joking. A local myth meant to keep children close to the campfire after dark. But decades later, standing knee-deep in the moss of the Pacific Northwest, microphone in hand, I realized how much weight those stories still carried. This wasn't just folklore, it was a phenomenon that refused to die. The name Bigfoot didn't appear until 1958, when a bulldozer operator named Jerry Crew discovered enormous human-like footprints pressed deep into the mud near Bluff Creek, California. The story hit the newspapers and the word Bigfoot was born, an American legend overnight. But the creature's roots go back much further. For centuries, Indigenous peoples across North America spoke of a large, hairy man of the woods, a being that lived between the human and the animal worlds. The Salish called it Sasquatch, meaning wild man. The STS Sales people still tell stories of him not as a monster, but as a guardian of the forest, a reminder that humans are not the only watchers in the trees. When I interviewed elders from British Columbia, they didn't speak of Bigfoot with fear. They spoke with reverence. One woman told me, "He's been here longer than us. You don't find him, he allows you to see him." Those words stayed with me. Every researcher I met divided the evidence into three categories: tracks, sightings, and sounds. Each piece alone was weak, but together, they built a pattern that spanned decades and continents. The footprints were the most tangible. Dozens of casts exist, measuring between 14 and 24 inches in length. Some show dermal ridges, the fine skin patterns we associate with human fingerprints, suggesting biological authenticity. Skeptics claim they were carved or stamped by hoaxers. Yet, even experts in primate anatomy have admitted, some of these prints show pressure points and movement you can't fake with a wooden mold. Then came the Patterson-Gimlin film 1967, a 59-second 16mm recording that changed everything. It shows a large, fur-covered creature striding across a creek bed in Northern California, turning its head toward the camera before disappearing into the trees. To this day, no one has definitively debunked it. Frame by frame, analysts studied muscle movement, stride ratio, and limb proportion, all consistent with a living primate, not a man in a suit. And yet, skepticism persists. Because there's something deeply uncomfortable about Bigfoot. If it's real, it forces us to accept that we've shared this continent with another species, one intelligent enough to remain unseen. In 1972, deep in the Sierra Nevada mountains, a group of hunters recorded a series of eerie vocalizations echoing through the night. The tapes became known as the Sierra Sounds. They didn't match any known animal. Audio experts describe them as a complex language. Whistles, clicks, and deep whooping calls that shifted, pitch like speech. When I listened to those recordings for the first time, in a dim editing room filled with static and hum, the hair on my arms stood up. It wasn't just noise. There was intent, communication, and somewhere behind that wall of sound, something breathing. Ron Moorhead, one of the original recorders, told me, "They were talking to each other. We just didn't understand the words." For years, linguists, wildlife biologists, and skeptics argued about those tapes. Some claimed the sounds were staged, humans mimicking primates. But the frequency range extended beyond normal human vocal capacity. Whatever made them had lungs and power. From a biological standpoint, Bigfoot shouldn't exist. There's no known fossil record of a bipedal ape in North America. And yet, the fossil record is far from complete. In the early 20th century, scientists confirmed the existence of Gigantopithecus blacki, a massive ape that once roamed Asia, standing up to 10 feet tall. Its extinction left a gap, but also a possibility. Could a descendant have migrated across the Bering Land Bridge during the Ice Age, evolving in isolation within North America's endless wilderness? I posed this question to Dr. Jeff Meldrum, a professor of anatomy and anthropology at Idaho State University, One of the few academics willing to study the phenomenon seriously, he told me, "We're dealing with thousands of reports from credible witnesses, park rangers, pilots, police officers. It's not about belief. It's about the data we're ignoring because it doesn't fit our model." Meldrum has collected over 200 footprint casts, each showing consistent anatomical traits: mid-tarsal flexibility, dermal texture, and proportional variants that suggest biological variation. Not mass-produced hoaxes, he believes Bigfoot represents a surviving relic hominin, possibly related to Gigantopithecus or an unknown branch of Homo. Even if Bigfoot doesn't exist in flesh and blood, it undeniably exists in culture. From the Pacific Northwest to the Appalachian Mountains, from television shows to national park souvenirs, the image of the towering, shaggy giant has become a mirror for human imagination. Psychologists suggest Bigfoot endures because he embodies something primal. The idea that wilderness still holds secrets that in an age of satellites and surveillance, we crave the unknown. We want to believe there's still something out there, just beyond the firelight. When I attended the International Bigfoot Conference in Washington, I expected eccentricity. What I found were families, scientists, and veterans swapping stories with quiet conviction. One man, a retired forest ranger, told me he'd seen the creature twice in 30 years, both times near dawn. He didn't tell anyone until retirement. "People think it's about proof," he said. "It's not. It's about respect. Whatever's out there doesn't want to be found." Late last summer, while filming near Mount Rainier, I experienced something I still can't explain. Around 2:30 a.m., we were camping beside a logging road, cameras off, the forest silent. Then, 3 knocks, hard, deliberate, echoing through the trees that we froze. Every Bigfoot researcher knows about wood knocks. Sounds believed to be communication signals between the creatures. I wanted to believe it was coincidence. Until we heard it again. Closer this time. Then a low, rolling growl unlike any bear or elk I've ever heard. Our thermal camera showed nothing but heat signatures of trees and brush. And yet the feeling, that weight in the air, that intelligence watching, it was undeniable. By dawn, the woods were silent again. No prints, no movement, just the wind through the firs and the faint memory of something ancient breathing nearby. So what is Bigfoot? A legend? A misidentified bear? A hoax passed through generations until it became folklore? Or, as so many believe, a living remnant of our shared prehistory, hiding in the forgotten corners of the wild? Maybe the truth lies somewhere in between. Maybe Bigfoot is less a creature and more a reflection of our desire to connect with the untamed, the unexplored, the parts of ourselves we buried beneath concrete and light. As I packed my gear that morning, I thought of my grandfather's voice again. "That's where they say the giant walks." Now, I think I understand what he meant. Bigfoot isn't just a legend walking through the forest, that he's an idea. One that reminds us the world is still bigger, stranger, and more mysterious than we can ever truly see.